Hi there, Irene here. Welcome to a new week of the 123 Quilt Along. This week we're going to make 13A, 13B and 314. And I'm going to use the touch ruler and a straight ruler and do some free motion work besides that. So that's what we're going to use. Let's get started. We are going to start working on 13A, and for that we're going to use the tip of the touch ruler and going to repeat that and stack it. It's almost like we're making scallops, but then just using by the tip of the touch ruler. I'm just going to place it somewhere and start quilting. I'm not going to mark anything. I'm going to use this seam as a marking. So, and when I end, I'm just going to reposition the ruler and quilt onto here. So now we're just going to stack the ruler on top of that. And for that I will travel a little bit. So now we have our base structure here. We're going to fill it up a little bit. So you can be creative with how you're going to fill this up. So you could repeat these lines in here, or you could do some free motion. Yeah, kind of what I did was make a basic structure in our tree, and now we're going to fill it up. So I am going to go for repeating these lines at the top a few times and then seeing how that looks, and yeah, kind of moving on from there. So let me get to this point and travel a little bit on my first shape so that I'm a 1/4 inch apart. Now let's see, where would I need to position my ruler? Well, I think for the top shape it's not that important, but I'm just going to make sure that I have it centered. One, and then again. Two. Yeah, maybe I can start with 3 of them. And now I'll move onto here and then do the same for this shape. That is 3 lines. I'll move to this side and then repeat for this shape. I can now see that the first line that I did moved down quite a bit. So what I'm going to do is just go back in and quilt in between. because then I will also have my 3 lines, and I filled up that awkward space a little bit more. There we go. Moving down, and then let's fill up this one. With 1, 2, 3 lines. So let's check if I filled all the shapes. Oh, here I missed a few lines. I think I can just free motion these. Short lines. Quite close together. So now I have made all the lines, and if you think this would be too big of an area still, you can go ahead and fill it in with anything you'd like. So I'm going to go ahead and fill mine in with some wiggly lines. And there is the first 3 of this week done. I don't think you would recognize when you would look at this design at first. I don't think you would recognize that it was made with a Taj ruler, because we altered it in such a way that you have that shape filled in, and it almost looks like it's organic and free motion quilted. Yeah, I really like how it looks. So we created some shapes and we filled them up. So be creative with it and fill them up in a way that you would like. If you don't have the Taj ruler, go ahead and use a circle ruler to make some scallop shapes and fill those in. Or you could do it all free motion, so make some shapes and then fill them in with the kind of pattern that you like. For tree 13B, we're going to practice something, and I don't think it's super easy. So it's good to practice, and I think this really helps you build your free motion quilting skills, making curves and trying to get a consistent motion. So I'm just making some markings on here. I'm going to show you what the idea is, but this is not one of my best designs, I think, to show, but practice makes progress, and we'll just see how it goes. So I'll show you what the idea is, and then you can decide how far apart you want to make these lines and, well, how you want to do this. So the idea is we're going to make this motion, so down and up and down and up. And maybe for you it's better to turn it at 90 degrees, so you go this way. I am going to go like I was writing those lines. Yeah, there we go. As you can see, I didn't do a warm-up round on my test piece. So then I should see some progress when I'm a few lines in. So the idea is to make round shapes and then kind of, well, have them symmetrical. It's not happening yet for me, but we'll practice. I think this is a super hard design to quilt, but it's such a good one to practice, because you can really practice on steering in the direction that you want. And oh no, I really hope that you can see what I'm doing, because I'm working with a light thread on quite a light blue background. Let me zoom up. So let me show you from this angle what I'm doing. I really hope you could see in my previous shot. So this is where I started and this is where I'm at. I think it's kind of getting more consistent. It starts to feel easier to move around. Yeah, so my shapes aren't completely touching, but as you can see over here, that is also a style that you could go for, that every time you go down you touch the previous rounded shape. So when you would go up, you would touch over here. So that's also a look you could go for, but I wanted to have them not really touching. So yeah, this is what it looks like. Let me finish this up. And it's done. So this is what the little tree now looks like. And I didn't practice on my test piece before I started today, so I really had to get into it. And it's quite a tiny tree, so I would really recommend doing this on a test piece first and making some lines to practice. I started here. And then I'm still here, still all over the place, but I think this one was my third row, starting to look a little bit more consistent. And then the tree was already done. So, well, that is 313B. Here we have 314, the final tree for today. And my idea for this one is to make some shapes with a straight line ruler and then fill it up with free motion quilting. And that will be a little bit of a combination between the previous two. So on this tree we made shapes and filled it in with lines, but now I want to make shapes and fill it in with a kind of a pattern that looks a little bit like this, a wishbone it's called. So let's make some lines and get this tree quilted. I changed my thread to a different color, so you'll be able to see what I'm doing a little bit better. That's not looking good. I guess something is wrong with my tension or with the way I threaded my machine. So let's check this first. Okay, problem solved. It turned out that my bobbin was wound too loose because I didn't wound it correctly on my machine. So that was what was wrong. For this tree we will start with making some triangles on the side. And then moving back. So the point of the triangle is somewhere around the center. And then the idea is that we're going to match the points. So the triangles are going to meet each other on these points. And that is something fun to practice, to see if you can position your ruler in such a way that you will end up in that point. I'm going to put my ruler on this side so you can see it a little bit better. So you don't want to line it up completely over the line, but 1/4 of an inch away from it. And then you should meet that point. And my idea with these triangles and diamond shapes is that we now have some spaces to fill in. And if you want, you can make these spaces smaller just by dividing them or slicing them in half or making some more random lines through them. And then in each section you can practice a free motion quilting design. Yeah, so I am going to practice wishbones. And I'm going to practice wishbones in the diamond shapes, so then I can decide later if I want to do something different in the triangles. So let me travel to this diamond. Let me see, where do I want to start? I can start at the top where we are now. So with wishbones, you want to make a loop and then a loop at the top and a loop at the bottom. So it's a little bit similar to the rounded shapes that we quilted, but then with 2 loops. Okay, they are going to start to get bigger now. That's a good thing because this was tiny. Whoops, that was a crazy wiggle over there. But yeah, I think those are okay for my first line in here. And things you can practice here with making the space between the wishbones. And you can practice with this design with making the figures spaced out evenly. So here you can see my spaces between them got bigger, and here that was pretty small, and making them evenly in width, so not making one much wider than the other. Yeah, I'm practicing with reaching the top and the bottom, so completely quilting towards the bottom and the top as well. Yeah, those are things you can practice with this design. I kind of lost it here. It's okay. Just making some wiggles and swiggles. So that's the look that we're going for. But of course you can pick your own free motion pattern if you want to. But this one is a really good one to, just like the other one, to practice your free motion skills. It's not an easy one, but it's fun to do, and once you get the hang of it, then you just get in the flow, and then it will get nice and consistent with practice. Oops, I kind of lost my pattern here. Yeah, so maybe that will also happen to you, or maybe you can't wrap your head around when I say just make a double loop and it will look okay. When I started thinking now, it didn't work really well. So I'm going to see if I can explain which directions I'm moving. So let me see how to start. Feels really hard when I think about it. So you go in under an angle to the top, and then you make a loop backward. So backward, the direction of where you came from. So this is backward, this is forward. You make a loop backward. Then before you reach the center line, I kind of have a center line in mind. You cross, then you move forward, then you again make a loop backward. Then you cross again before you hit the center line. Then you go up and loop backward, cross, and then move forward, loop backward, cross, go up, backwards, and backwards. So the loops are all backwards here. Yeah, I hope this makes sense. So you cross and go up, leave a little space for the loop, loop backwards, down, and loop backwards. So each time you go up, you have to keep in mind that you need to have enough room to make that loop. There we go. So let's move to the other side of the tree. Hope this helps. So there are all my center shapes filled with those double loops. And now it's time to fill up these triangles. So just go ahead and pick something that you like to quilt and fill them up. It's all good. Ta-da! There is tree 14 done. Okay, maybe I went a little bit overboard with all the different patterns and quite densely quilted. So a tree like this is very loosely quilted. This is pretty densely quilted. Normally I quilt, I don't really quilt this dense, but I just got, I don't know, I just got the hang of it and I wanted to make design after design. So here are some ideas you could do. Here I tried to do wiggly lines with points. Here are wiggly lines with rounded edges. I think this one looks really pretty if you combine it only with this. So if you repeat this one, it makes it a little bit easier on the eye, I think. Here I went for a kind of a wood grain structure. Did you pick that? Or did you see that? Well, I tried, and here is some free motion scalloping, but then very tiny. So yeah, that's what I made of my tree. And is it perfect? Absolutely not. But did I have fun? Yes, a lot. It kind of also looks harsh because I used a dark gray on very soft pink. So if I would have used white, it would be much more forgiving. And a densely quilted pattern like this wouldn't look so harsh as it looks now. But I like it, and it's a fun thing to have in my quilt. It will remind me of a fun quilting session. And that I just tried different things. So I'm really curious what you are going to make in your tree. You can make the sections bigger, you can make the wishbones bigger. That will make the structure of the quilt also softer, so then it's less densely quilted. So here is tree 14, And then over here we have trees. Oops, oh no. We have trees 13A and 13B. So this is also quite densely quilted, but it's really soft on the eye because my thread is not so much contrasting with the background. So those are the trees for this week. Please do play around and make it your own. And I'll see you next week for our final quilting video. See you then. Bye.